Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Beer There, Drunk That, your three favorite lovable losers, who are neither losers nor lovable, actually.
Very true. Very true.
We're here on this
Uh,
fine night, ready to talk about Pilsners, I guess.
Yeah, awesome. Also, you sound like my mom when you say I'm neither lovable or I don't even remember what the other thing was. She normally just focuses on that one. So,
Jeez.
no, no, no.
You're so
There's no love in this.
handsome.
No, the best part is my mom goes, man, you've talked a lot in the previous podcast episodes about your father drinking and that. And the first mention of my mom in the podcast is me going, yeah, she always tells me she doesn't love me.
No, I'll be honest. I'd like to take this time to shout out Mrs. Rydelic just for some stupendous beer selections. I know she's making some cocktails over there that I've
Oh
enjoyed too.
yeah.
So,
Yeah,
She's
um,
amazing.
she's a
so cheers
chemist,
to her.
a
She
chemist in the
is.
world of beer because she mixes a bunch of really like. In fact, she's a Pilsner fan.
Good
Very
for her.
picky, but she likes it, and she usually mixes that with some other beer and makes the bartenders weirded out a little. But yeah.
Have you guys like ever successfully mixed two beers?
This weekend,
Okay. I mean, I'll hear
like
about your
literally this
adventures.
weekend.
Because I had it one time. We were Sophie and I were taking the bus to a Brewers game because out here you can like the stadium's kind of like a little bit outside the city. So what you can do is you can actually just like go to a lot of bars and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna get a drink here." And they're like, "Cool, we'll give you a stamp on your arm. Get on our bus, go to the stadium. You can drink on the bus." And
That's sick.
yeah, and so they give you a little to-go cup. And so Sophie had like half a Miller Lite left, and then I was feeling fruity that day, so I had it was a raspberry beer. It's called Rubaeus from Founders. It's
Oh,
like
Oh,
relatively
Founders.
common. Yeah, and so I mixed those two together and like she's like, I can't finish this before we get inside. I'm like, all right, I can't double fist. Like, we just got to make a potion right now.
where was it then? Oh God. Well, it's funny. I was, we had talked about Cooperstown Brewing last week, and or, I'm sorry, the Cooperstown Distillery. I apologize because we were talking about Omegang. And Luke and I ended up, go figure, at a bar, the Cooperstown Distillery in Saratoga, where I actually had this wonderful drink. It was called a Rocktail, and it was their Spitball whiskey, like basically like a lighter Fireball. But don't tell them I compared it to Fireball. And then it was like a dry cider mixed with it, and I'll tell you, it hit. It did the job for me. I liked it a lot.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the beer mixing that we.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
let you talk about that one because that was a you concoction.
So I had brought a crowler of God knows what. It was some it was some like Blizzard, it was called Blizzard Porter or something, from New York Beer Project, and my dad had given it to me. So I don't actually know what the base the like first part of this mixture was. It was good, but so then we had picked up some blueberry ale, and I had gotten experimental. Oh, well, that's a
That's
weird way to
yeah.
say
No,
that
no,
when you're
no, no,
with
no.
us.
Let's.
Keegan and I started to experiment a little bit together.
It was a small
And
Airbnb. It was really cold.
well, so I put a little bit of the blueberry ale in it, and oh my gosh, it was so good.
it was stupendous. I was shocked. I was shocked. Boys, should we say what we're drinking? I guess before we get further.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'll crack mine
Uh,
open. I'm drinking a Hello Milwaukee American Lager from Indeed Brewing Company. It's
Indeed.
Indeed.
just like generic beer. Um, my favorite thing, I've probably told you guys about this, is it's got like three little notes on the back of it of what the taste is. And
Hmm.
so
Oh, I
this
like
one
that.
says clean, crisp, and bread.
Oh, you drinking bread?
So yeah, we're drinking bread tonight, base.
You're
I
just
love that.
like squeezing the juice out of a loaf into
Milk in the loaf.
Oh God. Is that the same thing as almond milk then, or what?
Oh, don't even get me started on that. I
Dude, the
I wish that
environmental
was your
impact.
question.
Somehow almond milk is worse for the environment than regular milk.
Wait, what, really?
Almond milk uses so much water.
Well, okay, we're calling it almond milk, but really it's just nut runoff. It's just like It's just like bark
I
juice.
think I found that
don't
in my shorts before. All right.
Well, God,
Luke,
fellas,
what are you
our
drinking?
Yeah.
Luke,
our minds
Luke,
are
what
in the gutter tonight.
Luke,
Yeah.
what are you drinking?
Apparently I'm going to keep revisiting Warhorse because well, although I've had this many times before, this is Warhorse Brewing Company Royal Kilt Inspector Scotch Ale. It's a very, very fun Scotch Ale. I love very much. The can is so cool.
Oh, look at that tartan on it. Let's go.
I love the tartan.
But yeah, that's what I'm having. Am I waiting to crack it? I forget how this works.
You
I
forget
was
a lot
waiting
of
to crack
things.
mine.
I think we can crack it
All right.
together. I have the second half of Luke's concoction. I have the UFO Maine Blueberry. Phenomenal beer. It's one of the greats. All right, Sláinte, fellas.
Cilantro.
Plancha. Another crisp crack.
Yeah. So one of us has to drink a nitro beer every week.
Yeah, that's gonna be the key.
That was good ASMR.
Alrighty. Oh, I just love this beer so much. Have you guys ever had the It's the specifically Wegmans brand. It's like a cinnamon toast crunch, but it's like a blueberry toast crunch. And
No, but I've seen the boxes.
it my favorite cereal ever. Like it goes crazy always.
Amazing.
Oh,
I've never heard of that.
It's unbelievable. And now we can do an offshoot. We can do cereal
Yeah.
drunk that, I guess.
Burial.
Burial.
Burial. There you go.
No, that's the app where it goes off every day and you have to take a picture.
Didn't
All
your
right.
parents ever put beer in your cereal when you were growing up? No, just mine? Okay.
I think that was just you, Luke.
Have I told you
Yep.
guys the story about my dad's cereal growing up?
No.
So
Nope.
he grew up, relatively low income family. He has 3 older brothers. And so the way it worked was growing up, the first one up would have cereal with the milk. And then when they were done, the bowl of milk left over would go in the fridge for then the next brother to get up, would pour their cereal in and then eat it. And then the next one. And so it was, you got to get up early if you want the fresh milk because
My God.
it got to the point where his oldest brother, who's 15 years older than him, kept milk in a cooler in his bedroom, so that way he didn't have to share milk.
No, but see, I almost feel like depending on, is it the same cereal for each time?
I mean, probably. Like, I can't imagine.
Like,
Like, if they're sharing milk, like if my dad was sharing milk as a
They
kid,
probably
I
don't
can't
have more than one
imagine.
bed of cereal.
Like, they probably had like cornflakes or whatever.
That's very
the
true. That's very true.
hand-me-down method for milk is incredible.
That's insane. It's insane.
You gotta try that with your roommates, Luke.
yeah, that would go well.
All right, guys.
I'll broach it with Zach. Zach, can we start sharing milk? No answer. He's contemplating.
I mean, you got to think about it. Who wants to go first?
I don't think I've gone first yet, so I can go.
Go.
Take it away, Donald.
So my first beer I had this week, I did an in-person tasting, which you'll see from my my first sips video out on Instagram. It's called the Parkside Pils. It was a Czech Pilsner at Rustic Road Brewing Company in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I stopped there after a little work trip down to Kenosha. And they have some really good beers, which is why I stopped in. They had one that, like, their flagship beer is a hazelnut amber, and it's just delightful. Ooh. It's like hazelnuts and a little vanilla and an amber ale. It's very light, it's refreshing, kind of desserty, but like not in an overwhelming way. Anyway, the Parkside Pils was really, really good. I gave it a 4 out of 5. A Czech Pilsner is like probably my favorite style of beer. Like if I'm going anywhere and I just want to find a beer that I can probably crush, it's going to be that. It has that just light roasted malt flavor that's not like a dark malt. You get that. It's not quite bready. It's a little herby. It finishes kind of dry, but it's not like it's not leaving you like a white wine where you're sitting there like, wow, I wish I had a glass of water after this. A little smokiness to it. It was just a great like after work beer. It was a long day and it hit the spot. It's exactly what you want in that moment.
It's what you need when the dogs are barking.
Dogs were barking. I've been on my feet all day.
Donny, let me ask you: is that so? The Czech Pilsner, that's you said one of your favorite Pilsners.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that due to your innate Czech heritage?
And I have zero Czech heritage.
Well,
I see, I guess.
well, wait
See,
a
I think
minute.
I think that hits better when you can see the red beard. So
Yeah.
for those that don't know, Donnie has a red beard, very non-Czech.
I
So
am, if you look
yes,
at me, you will say, "Wow, that guy is probably some combination of Scottish and French Canadian," and you would be right.
you would be dead on.
Because
The
I've
Dead
got
on.
an orange beard, a low brow, and wide shoulders.
He checks all the boxes.
Well,
Yeah.
the funny thing to me was how quickly you jumped on that. No, I'm not Czech.
I
Zero Czech. I got no
denying
Czech
the
in me.
allegations.
Check it off.
Yeah,
Yep.
no.
Hey.
What like
But
and it may be like the Czech Pilsner may like it may be because like one of the first craft beers I ever truly enjoyed was it's just called the Czech Pilsner from Moat Mountain Brewing in Conway, New Hampshire. Phenomenal beer. That's like I go home back to my parents' house for the holidays or whatever, and if I see that in the fridge, you know it's gonna be a good trip. Like like the only sad part is they only sell it in like 4 packs of pounders, so it's like
that could be tough.
it's like I want to drink all 4 of those in one night, but I don't want to be spending $11 on that every day.
Although $11 for a 4-pack isn't terrible.
It's not terrible, but like, and I mean that's cheaper than like going out and drinking somewhere, but
It is.
it's just
No,
phenomenal. It's just
I-
it's that light hoppiness, it's not overpowering. It's hardly any bitterness to it. It's just got a nice roasty malt, and this one from Rustic Road was reminiscent of it. This one Rustic Road was a little lighter than it, a little less roasted flavors, little more like spice on the end of it, like it leaves your tongue feeling a little sizzle at the end. It was phenomenal. Yeah.
Way cool.
I love that.
All right,
It's
Keegan, you're the freshest one. You got to go next.
I am the freshest one. For those of you who don't know, I just finished up my tasting about 5 minutes ago. All right. So we're gonna start with this one first. This is Resident Culture Brewing. It's their beer called Riding for the Feeling Pilsner. So again, a phenomenal can. Just love it. So actually, before I even review this, I got to give a shout out to my boy Charlie at Vinyl Beer who hooked me up with these recommendations. They were spot on, exactly how he kind of brought them up. He did a good job. But so this is an Italian Pilsner. It's a 5%er. Resident Culture is out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I gave this a 3.5 on Untapped. So for me, I usually I'm a little more generous. I didn't dislike this beer, but it wasn't like a daily driver for me. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I'll be honest though, it reminded me a little bit, and this might make some people angry. It reminds me of a Peroni, if we want to get away from craft. And that actually worked well. I
How
had pizza for dinner.
close-minded of you, Keegan.
That's what I mean. I don't
All
know.
Italians look the
Yeah,
same to
yeah,
you?
I
Is that what
so,
you're
I
saying?
guess so.
Only
it
like
was
the
a little
macros.
it was a little bit heavier than a Peroni, but like I think a similar profile. It was definitely like hoppy, but it paired well with the pizza that I had for dinner. So I think that's Italian in some way.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I mean they themselves claim to have a hops forward style. So it was definitely a hoppier Pilsner. But no, I mean I enjoyed it. It wasn't like all the way up there for me. I would recommend checking out their website. They have some fantastic quotes from their brewers, and like you'll have to check it out for yourself. But 3.5 for me. Resident Culture's Riding the Feeling Pilsner.
Cool. Again, the artwork on the can there looks really freaking cool.
And anytime it's a black can, it's really cool to me. I love the black.
I noticed that too. I had never seen a black can before in my life, I promise. Except
really?
for like a Guinness. Yeah, a Guinness is about the only black can I've ever seen.
Iron Tug in I'm trying to think where their original location is, but they've got one kind of in the Park Ave area. I've seen a couple of cans I think that they have that are black, but any time that you can combine like I don't think I can think of like an all black can that I've seen, but like you said, Guinness that has the gold kind of look or that copper kind of look. Anytime you're combining a different color against black looks really neat.
Absolutely.
There was a really good we were at dinner with Sophie's parents and their friends one time, and we were at like a decently nice restaurant, and her dad and his buddy both had this Mexican lager there that came in a black can, and his buddy was like asked the waitress like, "Hey, can I like take this can home? It's really cool." And she was like, "Yeah, I don't care."
It's better than taking the glass for them, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Less stuff for them to throw out. Recycle. I'm sorry. Less
Yes,
for
thank
them
you.
to
Thank
recycle.
you.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
How non-ecologist pilled of you, Lucas. Luke.
Ay.
Oh, that's good to hear though. Like Italian Pilsners, I'm like, aside from Peroni, I'm relatively new to, you know? Like
Yeah.
the Czech Pilsner is what I've ridden with forever, and now I'm starting to explore more.
I
Well,
like that. I love that for you.
It's kind of funny though, because I feel like Pilsners kind of don't. I mean, it's up there for some of your favorite beer, you were saying, but I feel like a lot of people tend to overlook them, maybe because they're not as like most of the time completely. It's gonna blow your mind the flavors that you're going to get from this or something like that. But going through the beers of the world aisles, I was very surprised. I had to get out of the state to find different pilsners, not because there wasn't a large selection, but because I did not realize how many pilsners I had consumed. And apparently I was coming at this like 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 not in a uh I don't know what the term is. Like I just wasn't putting a lot of thought into the pilsners that I was having. So I'm definitely coming at it in a different way. And it's fun.
Well, and I think like, correct me if you guys think differently, but like when we do these tasting reviews, like perhaps it's like a beer that you've had before, but you never really put much thought into, you just had it. You know, like I think that's a perfectly okay thing to review. Like if you've been like, I've had this before, it was a beer, you know, because I do think like coming at a beer with like tasting notes is very different than just like going down and slugging them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually a great
Yeah.
point. I
Yeah.
like that.
Well, look. So with that, why don't you tell us what you're drinking? What you
What
got?
did your non-New York Pilsner end up being?
Yes. Yes. You're out of state.
Well, so I thought, well, it's pretty funny, I think, that you brought up, Keegan, the fact that you had your Pilsner with a pizza, because this is the cold pizza Pilsner.
Awesome name.
By Black Hog Brewing Company, which is based out of Oxford, Connecticut.
Ooh.
This is my first experience with this brewery, and I felt like a very pleasant introduction into their brewing. This is a dry hopped Italian style Pilsner, perfect for the Irish month of March.
The world's first Irish Pilsner.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait. Can we talk about that for a second? Where are the Irishmen in this Pilsner realm?
If you look at like Pilsners too, it's like you have Italian, Czech, German, and then like Australian. So
Yeah.
like what are they doing there? Get the Irish involved.
That's
Make
what
some
I'm
calls.
saying. Why are the Irish not involved in this? We're
They
gonna have
got
to.
distracted by potatoes
Yeah.
instead of
Sounds like we're
wheat
making a
protein.
potato pilsner, I guess.
Yeah.
That would be really, really interesting. Well, see, if we have enough success with this, enough to open a brewery somewhere, I mean, can you imagine a potato
I'm
pilsner?
in.
We just got to start writing these ideas down.
There's an
I'm
abandoned
in.
one in Milwaukee. Or not in Milwaukee, it's like one of the suburbs, not that far from me.
Let's start squatting in it.
Yeah. And then we'll start brewing beer. First, it's our gym, so we can get into shape. But no, Luke, what did you think of your beer?
I liked it. I gave it a 4.25 on Untapped. I
Ooh.
felt like I was tasting, like I said, I felt like I had just smashed a cracker with a lemon. It was pretty cool, which I know is quite the image to have in your head, but
So it was citrusy, but also like bready and dry.
yeah, it was a bit bitter. It definitely finished a lot more bitter than I had expected, I think, going in. But it's a hop heavy, kind of bitter, but Relatively standard Pilsner, I thought. I liked it a lot. And the name alone is entertaining, and I think sums up the beer well. Definitely makes me want
Absolutely.
to explore more dry hopped Pilsners or that kind of more bitter Pilsners.
And it's spitting facts too. Cold pizza is superior pizza.
Oh yeah. Well,
So
just like with cold pizza, you can have a good amount of it like the next day and then still consume an entire meal about an hour later. So it's like
It's a snack.
summed it up pretty well.
it's a snacking beer.
That's like a lot of the beers out here. It's like, or the pizzas out here, like thin crust. They call it tavern style pizza is like the predominant style. And so it's like one place we go to for work, it's like a small pizza. It's just like recommended. It's like serves one, and their largest pizza serves at most 3 people, and it's like a 20-something inch pizza. It's just
Golly.
like it is just so thin. You just like you're like, yeah, I can just crush this whole thing by myself.
Well, that's why out of the 3 regions that we represent, Milwaukee is the one that's known for its pizza, right?
Yeah. Some say Dave Portnoy gave that place like an 8.2 or something like that. He went to it. It's
Holy
like
crap.
yeah, he was in the middle of nowhere. He was in Milwaukee, I think, because of like the bar school, like something barstool related. And he reviewed a couple places around the city, and he didn't give him great. But then he drove like half an hour south of the city to go to this Podunk Pizza area place, and he gave it the best review out of all of them. Wells Brothers Italian restaurant, great place.
Mr. New York over here.
Yeah.
Whoa, that's
Keegan's
an
having an
insult.
aneurysm.
Hold on. Couple
Keegan
things.
got
Couple
real
things.
quiet after I made
Mr. New
that one.
York. Mr. New York, while I'm wearing a Bruins hat and a Celtics jersey because they're playing tonight, is not acceptable. Secondly,
Where do you live, Keegan?
I live in the westernmost suburb of Boston, known as the Upper East Side of Manhattan. So, I think Milwaukee probably has phenomenal pizza, and I have nothing else to say. So,
it's different classifications.
It is. That's but like that thin pizza is the best pizza, and that's like my favorite spot in the city. John's of Bleecker Street, best pizza in the city. But it's that thin pizza. You could literally pound it. Like, actually, I went with my buddy Joe. He came down to visit, and it was me, him, and Caitlin. This kid polished off 8 slices of pizza before I had 3, and before Caitlin had 2.
Damn.
It was the most impressive thing. It was fold, and it was gone. It was devoured. So I hope
shout out Joe,
because it was good pizza. Shout out Joe for that.
That's amazing. I respect him for that.
I mean, you gotta respect the grind.
Oh yeah.
I will say one thing. Last episode when we mentioned Pilsners coming up, Keegan, you said never a bad Pilsner. I have had one before.
Okay.
I just like to give that anecdote now.
What happened that made it bad?
I got shot. No. No, we were at one of our regular spots. It's called Broken Bat Brewery here in Milwaukee. Great place. It's all baseball themed. So I love it. And they actually have a wiffle ball field like attached to the brewery, and you can like rent out, and they have wiffle ball leagues there. It's amazing.
My god, that's awesome.
But when you guys get out here, we should get a group of people and like rent out the field for a couple hours.
I'm in.
Sounds great.
Anyway, they came out with a beer like late last year, called Tailgate Culture, and it's a crisp apple pilsner. And it was not good. It didn't taste like a pilsner, and it didn't taste like apples. It was just kind of bland. It was on draft, so it was probably about as good as you can get it. It was in a pint glass, which I know isn't technically like the most proper way to enjoy a beer the best, but like screw it, like I'm not gonna go around with my own brandy snifter.
Sure. No, that's fine. That's disappointing because that sounds like it should be a good beer.
Yeah, it was like I was hoping because the name is Tailgate Culture. And so it's like, I hope that this could be like my tailgating beer, like I show up with
crushable something.
Yeah. And like, it just wasn't doing a whole lot for me. I'm trying to find it on their website right now because I like pretty much everything else I've had from there. They've had some amazing beers out there. Like one of my favorite beers of all time is from there. It's called Kore Mexican lager with lime. It's amazing.
Well, I feel like I I tend to give the benefit of the doubt to a beer if I'm having it in a can or I'm having it out of a bottle and I'm not a big fan of it or I'm not terribly impressed with it because as you kind of alluded to, Donnie, it's like if you aren't having it on draft, it's probably not the best it can be. But the fact that you had that on draft is kind of, I think, probably speaking to the fact that maybe it just wasn't good.
Yeah, and maybe it's because I like their other beers like a lot and I had high expectations. But yeah, we were like they had like a maker's market there, like it was like a kind of like a flea market-y type like craft fair thing. And so we were walking around in there. They've got a whole upstairs dedicated to it, and we're looking at it. And I'm just like sipping on this beer, and I'm like, it's not doing anything for me. And it was sad because I like that place a lot.
Yeah, that's too bad.
They'll bounce back.
Oh, they like I said, they still have amazing beers on tap. Like there's other stuff there that I will, the
Definitely
the first milkshake IPA I ever enjoyed was from there.
Was it the only milkshake IPA that you enjoyed, or?
I have to revisit them this summer, I think, because as I've been telling you guys, I've had a lot of IPAs recently, and I'm liking them. I'm having fun.
I love that. I
converted him.
Yeah. Like
one of us. One of us.
I went there this weekend. One of Us Brewing in Racine, Wisconsin. It's across the street from my office.
Shout out.
And I had an IPA there.
Yes. Yeah, Donnie.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it was.
We're so proud of you.
Yeah, you're all grown up.
I appreciate it. I'm growing, and that's what I hope to get out of this. I'm trying to find it. It's called The Little Head, which who doesn't love that?
I have the opposite of that. In fact, my head is quite bulbous.
Some might say.
Some of the medical community included.
Yeah. Is there a medical term for bulbous head, Keegan?
Yeah, it's Lucas Rhydelicus.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
There it is.
First known case.
Confirmed. First confirmed case. There's a lot of suspicion, but we know it with him. We know it.
Listen, I cannot say confidently that I was the first because my dad also has a bulbous head. So at the very least, he was first.
Genetics,
So let's hold on. So for a second, let's again shout out Mrs. Rydelic.
Yeah, she has the exact opposite. Oh my God, she's gonna kill me for sharing this. We went into what was that old brand? It was Good Life or something.
Life is Good.
Life is Good. It was that brand. We were in Canada. We went into the store and my mom was looking for a hat. And she's kind of trying some stuff on. She goes, "Do you guys have anything smaller?" And one of the workers comes over. She goes, "Yeah, let's see." So she adjusts the hat and she goes, the lady goes, "Okay, you guys have to come see this. Look how small this woman's head is."
That's sales 101.
Which, okay, my mom does not it's not like she has a really small head. Let's just put that out there. It's not like that at all. But for some reason, this Canadian woman just decided to shame my mother to her other.
Aren't they supposed to be polite?
Yeah, bullshit. I'm sorry.
That's amazing. Wow.
I love that.
Well, with that, I think we're going to take a quick break, refill our beers, take a little potty break if anyone has to do that. We'll come back and we'll go in reverse order this time. Luke's going back to back with his beer reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, baby.
Right. We'll see you in a minute. And welcome back to Beer There, Drunk That, the only podcast where Luke is subliminally messaging everyone for help.
Would you do that often?
Every day. Every day, baby.
Never forget when you kept writing help on your whiteboard every single day in college until someone would notice. And it would be like a month. And we were all hanging out one day. Like, we just happened to be outside your room. You're like, I write help here every day, and nobody notices.
Every single person that had passed that for the month had that mentality of somebody else will do it.
Yeah. It's not my
Pass along.
responsibility.
That's somebody else's kid.
Well, like, have you ever seen like a car accident? You'd be like, well, someone else is probably calling 911.
I saw one time oh man, that mic was close for a second. I saw an entire car, like a Golf. My God, couple of beers and here we go.
Maybe mix in water, huh?
Yeah. No, I saw a car on the side of the expressway engulfed in flames. And I just gave it a wide berth. It was like before emergency vehicles came, because I had stopped before, and I'm like, "Is anybody in there?" And a woman goes, "This was a different one, believe it or not. I've seen 3." The woman yelled back and goes, "Nope." And so, not panicked at all. Really, I was very surprised, and I just like did a walk of shame back to my car. I'm like, "Why bother? Why did I even stop? What am I gonna do?"
One day this winter, I was driving home from work. And on the freeway, honest to God, I saw a car. I have no clue where it came from. Probably half mile ahead of me. Just drive like 40 miles an hour, just straight into the Jersey barrier and like bounce off and like ricochet around. And like it like bounced off of like a tractor trailer and it like kept moving. It was fine. And I just like drove over the rubble and I'm like, well, I don't know what's happening here. Like I was far enough away and like that I saw it coming, but I was like, I have no clue what just happened there. And then like my friend left the office like half an hour later than I did, and he didn't notice anything. Like he was like, yeah, just like I saw the tractor trailer pulled over. And I'm like, I watched a car drive 45 miles an hour into a Jersey barrier.
Well, there was no rubble left after it was sticking out of your tires. So
Yeah. I've just been driving on flat tires for months.
Oh.
You okay, Keegan?
Yeah. First time.
I just throwed up.
What if we just do like we eventually do a live podcast where we're just getting so fucked up in it that we just have to throw up in the middle?
I mean, that sounds like a legal liability at that point, is what that sounds like.
We're signing our own waivers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say we're gonna have to sign waivers for that one.
All right, Luke, kick us back off.
Yes, hit us with it.
All right, so my second beer, this one was really cool. Was the Von Trapp Brewing, their Bohemian style lager. That's their Pilsner. Have you had that, or did you review it tonight?
I went to the Von Trapp Brewery, Luke.
How was it?
It was sick. It was so cool.
Is it what I imagine, which is just like a bunch of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Austrians giggling and skipping and holding hands?
Almost. It's basically just picture everybody looks like Donny.
So really Austrian.
Very Austrian.
Lot Here he goes, denying his heritage again. First he's denying his Czech heritage. Now he's denying his Austrian heritage.
No, that brewery is so cool. Like it was because we were there for a wedding, and it's literally like it's in the mountains. You can just see the mountains. And then the best part by far, a truck full of golden retrievers pulls up right in front. You can just walk out and play with them.
Yeah, the superior dog breed. Oh my God. I mean, yeah, they're a good one. Yeah, way cool.
One good quick Von Trapp thing. My office, all the conference rooms are named after different countries. And so there's the Austria conference room, and someone just has a picture of the scene where she's like up on like the hills are alive from The Sound of Music, just like above the word Austria. It's really funny.
Julie Andrews, baby.
Yeah, she's just ripping it.
Quick, this is rapid fire. Favorite Julie Andrews character? Go.
I like
Mary Poppins.
Cookie Monster.
Mary Poppins. The what?
Cookie Monster. When does she not play Cookie Monster in the? I've got my shows mixed up, I think. I don't know.
This is him scrambling to figure out what she's in. Rapid
Fine,
buying himself time.
searches.
I have no idea. I don't know what I've seen with her in it.
All right. Well, Donnie, I respect Mary Poppins very much so. I love the Sound of Music, so I'm gonna go Maria. Luke, I'll hand you when she's the Queen of Genovia in Princess Diaries. So
No,
Oh
actually,
yeah.
I'll come up with my own right now. I liked her in Mary Poppins.
you're a genius. You're a genius.
Using context clues, you know?
No, but
sorry, Luke.
no, that's okay. That's all right. This I enjoyed this a lot. This was very light and smooth. This is one that I think my mom might not even mix anything in with.
Oh,
Very Moorish, very drinkable. This is one that I absolutely recommend to people who are looking to spread out a little bit from I think your more widely distributed pilsners. Sweetness comes up at the end, or in the end rather, versus kind of the stronger bitterness of that first beer that I tried. I gave it I'll give it probably a 4.25, 4.5 on Untapped. It's biscuity und bready, which is how I imagine the Austrians probably don't say it because I butchered it anyways. And it's got a noticeable malt that I found really pleasant. So I could have 5, 6, 10, 20 of these.
All right, we'll put that out, content out.
Well-
Luke drinking between 5 and 20 Italian.
yeah, you're gonna have to pull a random number, and for every follower, you drink one.
No, that's good to hear.
Oh,
I have seen
yeah, I like.
Czech Pilsners described as bohemian before as well. Like if you look at my Untapped for the Parkside Pills, it does say a bohemian lager in there as well.
Well, this said a little of Austria, a lot of Vermont, which I thought was kind of cool.
I love that. I love that.
My dad bought a Von Trapp beer when I was home last time, and he hated it, and I loved it.
The Von Trapp Brewery is very, very cool. We went for that same wedding. We went there, and then we went to the Alchemist, the one that makes Heady Topper. And
Very
I
famous
was
place, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
very pleased with both breweries.
When I lived in
Okay.
Connecticut, someone was going on a weekend trip to Vermont, like to the area, and I just remember like this one guy I worked with just like gave her a list to be like, okay, you need to go to this brewery and you need to get me these beers. No, my
He's
dad got
not wrong.
the Vienna style lager from Von Trapp.
Okay. I think when I was there, I had the Dunkel, which was I'm always down for a good Dunkel, so that was tasty.
Yeah, I think they do a lot of like the German type beers, you know, in like a more American fashion, you know.
Yeah, a lot of Vermont in there.
A lot of Vermont.
We just
actually, Luke,
bastardized it.
the again, we'll move on before I say anything else. You talked about Bohemian, Bohemian a little bit. Yeah, that's what you said.
Yeah.
So this is quite an interesting beer that I had. This was the one that I told Charlie. I said I want to try something just outlandish, something that will make me cry. Like I want to hate it. I didn't say that. I said give me something crazy. And so he handed me this can from Nightmare Brewing.
Oh my god.
That looks I've had that dream before.
No.
It's a depiction of a lot of crazy shit happening.
Yeah, that's
I made sure to show it. I made sure to show it on my first sips. This is called The Defenestration of Prague by Nightmare Brewing.
Oh my god, that is so scary, Keegan.
Listen, before I even review this beer more, the other beer that he showed me was called the Viking Blood Eagle, which is one of the most gory things I have ever seen depicted in my entire life, and it is on a beer can.
How are they both Pilsners?
This guy needs help.
Well, that one's not. That one was I forget what that one was. But if you want to see some crazy shit, go to nightmarebrewing.com and look at their artwork.
I'm doing that right now while you review.
Not
I love
me.
it.
Not me.
So
Too late at night for me.
Luke has enough night terrors already. He doesn't need nightmare in his
Yeah.
beer.
I don't want to be scared.
So, um, Nightmare Brewing is out of Bayshore, New York, which is like Long Island. So this is a Bohemian Pilsner. Wait for it. Fermented and lagered on French oak chips.
Oh, that explains why it's terrifying.
Yeah.
I was like, what is happening right now? It's a 5.4% ABV. I'll start with, I gave it a 3.75 on Untapped. My first sips will not show that because it was like a punch in the face. Like, it wasn't what I was expecting out of a Pilsner. And I had it and I was like, what did I just drink? But then the more you sit with it, I think it gets better. Because it definitely has that kind of oaky flavor. There's a little bit of like vanilla, a lot of bitterness. Way hoppier than I expected. So like that beer from Resident Culture was hoppy. Like I would say bordering IPA from that Pilsner area. This one was like, it tasted like an IPA. It was that hoppy that like, but it wasn't the thing was it wasn't like the juicy hops. So I'm like, I like my juicy IPAs. It wasn't that. These were like just they were mean. They were mean. And so before I finish, I would like to share the quote on their website. Bringing together ingredients, death metal, and our horrific history into a cohesive liquid experience. So if that tells you anything about this beer, it means you got to go check it out. It is nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I just did a quick look on their website, and it's, for one, I think more than one beer, and I can't read the font. But doesn't
I had a
help
tough
that.
time doing research. Yep.
Yeah, I will say that my second beer right now is I'm still working on those Allagash triples that I reviewed last week. So
Nice.
9% on a Tuesday. Let's go. Better than
Yeah, it
9% on a Monday.
But not much.
No, but they definitely look like that they're a well-themed brewery, you know?
They do not. Luke, you talked about a shtick that places have last week, and they have a shtick, and it's theirs.
I think we don't have to like the shtick. We could even be afraid of it, like this one.
Luke has a list of places he won't go now. We have to go right when they open.
This is the only one on the list at the moment.
So did it have like that like oaky like tannin bitterness that you get from like whiskey sometimes, and like?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I honestly like I have a hard time describing it, like, because it was off-putting. Not in a necessarily a bad way, but it was unexpected. I think it sets a little heavier, so I think it's probably a less-ish beer. You can taste that it had these oak chips in there, like it's just
You're picking them out of your teeth.
Not quite. Luckily not. That would have made it like probably a 2 for me if I actually had to pick stuff out and drink that. But the beer itself wasn't terrible.
I like oaky beers. Like, I like that oaky flavor. Like, every so often out here I'll find like a saison that has like some oaky fermentation to it, and I tend to like those.
Donny, you're gonna have to get some Nightmare then.
I've have you guys ever experienced sleep paralysis? Because I get it sometimes.
No.
I don't get nightmare. I don't like have like nightmares or like vivid dreams really, but every so often if I take a nap in just the right position on the couch, I will have like sleep paralysis, and I like eventually have to like force myself to like fall off the couch to like escape it.
That is
that's terrifying.
It's one of those things like I feel like I'm awake, but like I just can't like really move.
That's
and I'm
terrible.
like, and I like want to get up and like go do something like and so I figure out how to like move my legs or whatever so I can fall off, and it like jolts me awake.
I mean,
my God,
I have really vivid dreams, and I have nightmares a lot. Not nearly as many nightmares as I used to. Just like weird stuff. but I'm usually able to. It takes a while. They say like if you're able to recognize that you're dreaming, sometimes you can wake yourself up, and I've been able to do that. For some reason, it takes me a while. All this wild crap is like falling out of the sky, and I don't know if my brain, like, how does my brain not recognize that that's not happening in reality? Like, because there's definitely a switch that happens where I go, oh no, I'm dreaming, but it's also after vampires have talked to me and things.
Dude, you need to watch Inception. It'll explain everything
I
Yeah,
love Inception.
and nothing.
the top's still
I
spinning.
I cannot imagine being stuck doing that. I feel so bad for you, Donnie.
I know, because I don't have the dreams. Like, I don't have the dreams. Like, it's one of those things where, like, I am, like, it's when, sometimes when you, like, are, like, half asleep, like, half awake, like, in the mornings, like, it's,
Luke knows it well.
yeah, oh, I've seen it. But it's, like, it's kind of like that feeling, but it's, like, all, like, it's, like, you can still, like, move and roll over in that. It's, like, that, but I can't move, really. And so, like, I just have to figure out how to, like, shift my weight ever so slightly. And on that note, I'll review my second beer.
Yeah. Oh God.
I wish I had known the trend because I would have reviewed my Italian Pilsner first time around. I did Staccato Italian style Pilsner from Indeed Brewing Company here in Milwaukee, a place I frequent often and talk about. The notes that they say on this one are blackberry vines, raspberry leaves, and tangerine oil.
So none of the actual fruit.
Ooh.
No, and that's the thing I'd like to point out with this beer is I think if you sit with it and let it hang out in your mouth for a minute, you definitely do get those like I liken it to almost like a LaCroix where you're sitting there and it's like it has the concept of the flavor, but it's not overpowering.
Yeah.
Like the bulk of this beer is that slightly hoppy, refreshing, like maltiness that you get from a normal Italian Pilsner. But it definitely does have those essences of fruit in there, and
That's very interesting.
yeah, and I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's a beer that like I like to get when I'm there, every week, and it was nice to like have it and kind of in a tasting sense, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. When we go there, our friends who work there oftentimes will give us beer shots. It's just their thing, they're like, yeah, let's do beer shots together, And so sometimes they'll pour shots of this and it's like, oh, I just drank a little glass of beer. But now it's like having a can, like sitting down on a Sunday afternoon in my apartment. It was really nice. And I would definitely recommend this beer. I gave it a 4.25. I think this is a beer that I could regularly drink, daily driver almost.
Do you
I like that.
Donnie, do you prefer when a beer alludes to a flavor or it like fully embraces that you're not going to have to put much thinking into what it could be?
It depends on the type of beer. Because if I'm going with like a fruited sour or if I'm going for like a juicy IPA, then it's like, okay, I want that beer to taste like that. But if it's something like a Pilsner like this, like I talked about that apple Pilsner, and it didn't really taste like apple, and I was expecting a lot of apple, which again, apple's not a strong flavor, generally. But I wish, with this, because if you just look at the front of the can, you're like, oh, it's just a beer. But then it's like on the back, you're like, all right, like I know what to be looking for now.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they do those notes. That's very cool.
It's a very cool thing that I think places should do. And like if you read about a beer on any brewery's website, they'll tell you what to be tasting for. But I gave a non-answer there essentially, and so
No, do
It was a fun question. I appreciate it.
yeah.
do you think that that apple pilsner that you had might have been better if it hadn't set an expectation for you?
Yes.
was it
If
just
it had
that?
just said it was a Pilsner, potentially, and that with potential apple notes, but also it wasn't a great Pilsner. Like
Mm.
I'm gonna have to get back there soon.
I'm fighting hard for it, man. If you can't tell, I'm like trying to. I don't know why, but I'm trying to be like, well, but it was okay, right?
Like it wasn't like offensive by any means, but it was underwhelming. So I will say the expectations were higher than they should have been, probably.
Probably a free beer only.
Yeah,
Or not even. Or is
I
it a
don't
regret?
the It's not a regret. It's probably free beer only.
Okay. Okay.
But no, you see what I'm saying? Like it depends on the type of beer. Like if it calls it out and says like if you're going for another beer there at Broken Bat, a pineapple milkshake IPA. If that doesn't taste like pineapple, you're going to be disappointed, right?
Hmm.
But when
Potentially, for sure.
but this, this just says Italian style pilsner. It doesn't say Italian style pilsner with berries and citrus.
That
I get it.
that makes it fun. It makes it a puzzle. You get to dissect it, you know? Well, that I guess you don't really do that with a puzzle.
You put them
Right?
together, you do the opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That's.
kind
I
of
mean, your
mixed my
metaphors are close
analogies
there.
there.
That's
Yeah.
okay. That's okay. Yeah, I guess they're analogies. I personally, I am an idiot when it comes to the taste that I'm getting. So I need someone to be like, hit me over the head with the flavor. Like that's the reason I love the UFO blueberry, the Ellicottville blueberry. Like you smell it, you know it's blueberry, you taste it, it's blueberry. Like it hits it hard.
A beer you should
I
try
think
then
yeah.
is I think it's called Blue Paw from Sea Dog Brewing.
Okay.
In They have, I think they're based out of Maine, but they have one in my hometown. It's like a blueberry wheat ale, like the Ellicottville, like that UFO, probably
Perfect. Yeah,
freaking
It's right up
amazing.
his alley.
I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm in. Yeah, I like to be hit over the head with my flavors.
What
So
about
You
you,
maybe
like
that
to
Luke?
makes
be
me
completely knocked unconscious by the flavor. No, I like to be able to do a little work with it because I mean, although I no actually because I'm a little closer to you, Donnie, in that I want it to kind of be advertised a little bit if it has to, right? But I want to be able to do some work with it. So the Beers of the World class that I took in college was so fun. Um, the there was this one time that a student goes, "Yeah, I taste I think probably soy sauce," and the
oh,
teacher had a great reaction to it. He goes, "Oh, that's such a cool tasting note. That's so interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see that." And so we kind of went on with that. That other student, like there was another student that would always just copy the answers that some students would do. So we were drinking a different beer entirely, and he just goes, "Yeah, I kind of get a like soy sauce in this." And the teacher goes, "No, just try it again, please." Like he was so annoyed at that point. But I want to be able to dissect that. I want to be able to see, what comparisons can I make between the flavors that are showing up in this beer and stuff I've either already had or something completely unrelated, right? Like a cereal or like something like that. That was a very long-winded answer. But yeah.
Well, I think it shows in the way you describe things. Like you smashed a cracker with a lemon. We know what like I don't think I would ever describe something as that, but I instantly knew what you meant. And I think it's understanding like, like I've said, it's sitting with a beer and actually like, I learned this when I visited the Polish Museum of Vodka uh last year on a work trip. We took an extra day when we were out there. We're like, screw it, we're already in Poland. Like, let's go explore. So I dragged my coworker to the Polish Museum of Vodka. And at the end, they sat us down and we did a vodka tasting on the tour.
That is awesome.
oh,
And it was really cool because the guy, he's from Poland there, and he would like take a sip, like like a good amount, and like let it sit in your mouth for like 15-20 seconds, and I'll try and articulate what you might be tasting. He's like, and then you can swallow it and have a little sip of water if you need it. And so it was
hmm.
that where I learned like how a flavor may evolve on your tongue, you know, like having a rye vodka, like it's going to be spicy, it's going to be strong, and it's going to really play with your taste buds more than like a potato vodka, which is going to be very mild in flavor. You're going to get very little burn on it. And so I try and do that with beers now whenever I try them. I try and like sit there and like let it hang out in my mouth and really see what I can try and uncover.
Well, a person doesn't have to be a pro at it, right? They don't have to be able to identify it by taking a paper and like covering the outside of the can and trying to find it themselves. It's at the end of the day, a lot of it is subjective, right? So you may pick up some of the notes, you may not pick up some of the notes that the brewer is talking about. I think a lot of times too, people don't utilize palate cleansers or something like I don't know, like a pretzel or something, and then so they've had a bunch of different kinds of beer, which I do a lot. I'll have different beer and then I'll do my tasting notes on that. So if you've eaten garlic in a day or you've eaten something else, everybody is tasting it a little differently. That's I think how I would put it.
I think that's a really great message, Luke.
Thanks, Dad. I mean, Keegan.
No, like I totally agree because I don't think there's any correctness. Like I got really into like bourbon YouTube for a while. Like I don't really like whiskey all that much. I'm more of a clear spirits guy myself personally. But it was like watching these guys like try these and like describe the flavors that they're tasting. I'm like, okay, like I don't know if you're saying that or not, like, or if you're really tasting that.
Yeah.
But like it's cool that you're able to like pick out notes and differ.
And the cool thing too is, and actually, I think Keegan, you and I were talking about this recently, where it's like I still have so much more to learn about beer and really being able to pick out uh flavors, I guess, in an official capacity. But again, that's some of the fun of it, and I think that's some of what makes this podcast and doing this with you guys so freaking fun is that I think I learn more in what you guys are saying and what you guys are picking out of a beer. And I've definitely learned a lot in what your preferences are in beer. And just even the nonverbal communication stuff, like your facial expressions when you're talking about certain things, is so fun to watch sometimes. I don't know. It's such a weird way to say that. I am so sorry.
No, I get where you're
Videlic
coming from,
PI.
Luke. Like I get what you mean though. It is, and that's what I think this podcast for other than an excuse for us to just hang out every week is like for me, it just I'm getting into IPAs now, which I never thought I would do. I thought I was going to be one of those guys be like, I don't really like them. But it's making me more adventurous and I want to try more things. And I want to be able to like really come each week with like a different, something new and different and really try and, give it my all. Like I don't want to have us be like like New England IPAs and me just be like, nope, I hate those. I'm going to give each of these a 1 out of 5. The one is because it's a
Right.
beer and not a water.
Keegan, what do you take out of this whole experience? And if
No, I mean,
if what
it
you
really,
say doesn't make us cry, you're out.
That's true.
okay. Well, no, honestly, like I've when I'm drinking a beer, like never, aside from that initial like hit of flavor, I don't usually just think about like what I'm tasting. And so I agree in that when when I'm listening to you guys say, oh, I'm getting this notes, this is how it's sitting for me, this is how the mouth feel is, this is how it's light bodied, it's heavy bodied, like that. So that sort of thing. So actually being cognizant of what this beer does for your palate, for this is gonna sound weird, what it does for your throat, what it does, like what it does for every part of you experiencing that beer. I think being cognizant of all of those is just really, really cool to start to refine. Because again, I like Donnie a couple times, you picked out like coriander. And I straight up I'll be like, I don't know what coriander tastes like, but it sounds cool the way he's saying it. So it's something that I can take those notes that you've made and be like, okay, so maybe that's what he's noticing. So no, I think it's a really, really cool way to go about things. Cool way to be adventurous, like Donnie said.
Absolutely.
Like I like just as a quick anecdote before we get to next week's beers, but like I had a beer, like you guys are very familiar with Scotch ales. I know that for a fact, and so am I. And I had a Scotch ale that was 3.5% ABV this week, which is like almost unheard of, right?
Yeah.
So it was called the Scottish Mist from Littleport Brewing in Racine. It's down the street from my office. but it's a beer. It's 3.4%, and it's like the type of beer that like you would go and it says as a 60 shilling beer, the cheapest beer one could get in Scotland. So it was like a light Scotch beer. So it was like dark in color, but it was like a light beer with those Scottish ale flavors and then Scotch ale flavors. And so I was really
That
impressed by it. And I'd never thought I would ever see anything like that in the world after drinking Rohrbach Scotch ales in college.
Thanks, Luke.
So coming up this next week, so the episode that will be going out after this will be coming out the day after St. Patrick's Day.
Mm-hmm.
So I propose that for this upcoming week, it's Irish beers. Any two Irish beers that you want to do. You could have had them before. Obviously, we probably want to stray away from the macros, but if there's something that you've had before, if there's anything that you guys would like to talk about and bring forth, I'm all ears for it. I assume you guys are on board.
I love it. I'm here for it.
I think it's a good one. We're gonna try and do themed episodes wherever we can. I think for 4th of July we should do like American beers. Like
just America.
Yeah, America beers.
I mean, even though Luke's only about 6% Celtic, I think this is going to be a great challenge for him. I do.
Slander,
I think it's going to be a
lies and slander.
Oh, are you denying your heritage, Luke?
I'll see you in court. I will see you in court.
23andMe has nothing on you.
And I found out to my I wouldn't say horror because that's offensive. I found out that so I'm more Irish than I am anything else, but I'm a lot more Scottish than I thought I was. So I don't know what's happening to me. I'm turning into some sort of Scottish werewolf here. The ancestry DNA keeps updating.
Okay, so I love Irish beers for next week. And I'm gonna hit you guys. So make sure you keep voting. Everybody listening, keep voting on the polls in the previous episodes. Because so far I think you've all got about the right answers. Except for last week, because there's some discrepancy on if water was wet or not. But for this week, my question I brought to you is cereal a soup?
Oh my god!
Fitting after our initial conversation on this.
I think it fits well. I think it fits well. So again, is cereal a soup? So make sure you check it out and vote on Spotify there.
All right. Well, that sounds about good to me. Thanks for coming out, friends, and we'll toast you off, and we'll see you back next week with a couple of Irish beers. No Scottish.
No Scottish.
None.
No Scottish.
None.
Sláinte.
Sláinte, my friends.
Sláinte, guys.